Iguodala. Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown. The three, steps back, crossover, puts up a three. Rebound James. Seconds. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
Cleveland! This is for you!
I'll say, man, something about blowouts after the week of games that we've had where it's either been losses or really close. Felt nice to just kind of kick your feet up and watch a game today.
Absolutely, especially with the gauntlet we're about to run through here at the end of the month.
Yeah, for sure. But welcome to tonight's edition of the Block the Shot to Stop, our Cleveland Cavaliers podcast brought to you by the Blue Wire Podcast Network. I'm Tim Daniel. He's Skylar Webker. And today we are discussing the fact that the Cleveland Cavaliers have a 118-87 victory over the Washington Wizards to close out the NBA Cup. As we know, the Cavaliers are not advancing to the quarterfinal or the knockout rounds, I should say. But that's okay because we'll find out in the next couple of days who the next teams are they're playing. But at the end of the day, you'll take 19-3 and you'll take a nice win there where you're coming off the Celtics win and you get this one too. You got the Nuggets coming up on Thursday. So you have some nice momentum here. So Skylar, things are looking good.
They're looking great. I mean, I said it before we got on, like it's always fun to watch Cavs win. Doesn't matter if it's a close game or a blowout. It's always fun to watch the Cavs win. Since they do not qualify for the cup, I guess this is a question for you. What does this game mean as far as like the group play?
More or less, it just adds to the statistics. So what happens now is we'll know after tonight. I think I'll see that after tonight or who advances to the knockout rounds. Which for the East, I think every group's just about settled because Milwaukee's got a big lead on Detroit, and then I think the Nets. I saw the Knicks were beating the Magic. So the wild card would be decided by the point differential at that point. So tonight was just kind of like it kind of more for the regular season for the Cavs' sake than it did the Cup.
Yeah.
So, oh wow, yeah, the Knicks are up 30 on the Magic, and so Boston's probably going to get in.
Dang.
Great. Yeah. Whatever.
They can win that. We'll win the whole damn thing.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, so, but tonight, pretty business-like game. Went in there, did their thing, left. I would say unscathed, but that's not true because once again, first Donovan Mitchell going on a screen hits shoulders with Jonas Valanciunas and his dangling his arm. It was like, well, that's not good. And then he comes in, everything's fine. You're like, okay, thank God. And then 2 minutes later, Darius Garland runs into Valanciunas' elbow, and they're saying he's concussed, and it's like, oh, lovely, wonderful.
Dude, he is.
I shouldn't say he was being evaluated, is what I should say.
Yeah, he was being evaluated, but didn't return to the game, and he is the unluckiest player when it comes to like getting hit above the head. I mean,
yeah,
fractured jaw, lacerated eyelid, concussion. Like, I just need the Bernie Sanders meme of like, I am once again asking you to stop hitting Darius Garland above the shoulders.
Yeah. But so hopefully that's nothing serious and he'll be back for Thursday. Like I said, it was just an evaluation and they were probably up big enough that they probably felt fine with not putting him back in the game, which is, okay. But tonight overall, big picture. So you had 7 guys scoring double figures. Cora was this close to making it 8. He had 9. Dude, I get it. Dogs bark all the time here too. Mobley and Mitchell tie for the lead with 19 points each. Mobley 10 rebounds. Mitchell 5 rebounds, 7 assists. Merrill, nice game, 14 and 6 off the bench. And let's point out real quick that Jalen Tyson and Craig Porter played 2 games today.
Yeah, they played for the Charge today and then came in for kind of the garbage time here at the end.
It's like JV and varsity when you'd play like back-to-back. Like, you're like, all right, well, I just played the full JV game, but I got to dress for varsity in case I need an extra guy. Just at a much higher level, obviously. But so cool for those guys. Craig Porter Jr. won the G League game today for the Charge, and then gets to come in and score a bucket in an NBA game. That's pretty neat. But we'll get to that here in a bit. We're going to do our Charge recap for the week today as well. But this was a nice game in the sense that obviously, it's the Wizards, so you feel pretty good about your chances of going into the game. And then also just really balanced scoring across the board. Everyone kind of just did their job. Really nice win for the Cavs tonight.
Yeah, I wanted to ask this the other night when I was on with Kevin, because of how deep this team is. How much leash do you give people when they're slumping? So, for example, Sam Merrill has not had a great stretch of games. He was great tonight, though.
Yeah, he was.
So, like, how much leash do you give these guys when they're slumping, when you know you have other kind of mouths to feed or other people that can jump in? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question, man. But I feel like with Ketty, I think the staff's got a pretty good, probably got a good figure on the pulse with that. Just kind of knowing, I feel like they've done a really good job all year just executing matchups, no matter how a guy's playing, when they've had guys available, I should say. So if you're talking a guy like Mitchell, obviously that's a little bit of a different conversation. But you're right. I mean, if Sam Merrill's having games like he's been having of late, before tonight, and then you look at a guy like, Dean Wade comes back and he plays really well, then you feel like, okay, probably Dean Wade getting the bulk of the minutes there. He wasn't fantastic tonight. I think that's just him getting his legs underneath him.
Yeah.
But the beauty is when you have nights like that you had tonight from the bench where all three guys who are like your major bench tremendous guys play very well. And Karras, Sam, and George. I did see on King James Gospel the other day, I was reading an article that my wife's cousin sent me, that I guess George Niang in the fourth quarter, I did not realize, was shooting 14% from three. Oof. He was closing games. So I love George. We all sing his praises. But that's not going to cut it in crunch time. So I imagine that they're going to look for different routes there, especially as they get guys back. Obviously, when Strus is back, that's going to play a big deal. But to answer your question, I feel like everyone's going to get their opportunities, and it's just going to kind of go down from there. Because once you get to the playoffs anyway, man, I mean, your rotation cuts down significantly. You go from, they're playing 11 now. Some nights you're going to go down to 7 and 8. So
right. Yeah, that's true. And I know we're super early in the season. So
are we, though? We're like a quarter through now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe it feels early in the season to us because our season started 16 games in.
Yeah. I mean, we're back to every other night now, basically for a little while, depending how next week shakes out with the game.
The Cup. Yeah.
Yeah. But
one thing that I don't know, if I missed, was Ty Jerome out for ill? Okay.
Yeah, it said he had an illness. So him and Max were the only guys not available tonight. On the other side, they went into the game without Kuzma, and then they ended up losing Kispert and lost two other guys. It was like Bogdanovich. Yeah, but it's the Wizards. I mean, it didn't matter. Which I shouldn't say that's insulting, but they're professionals too. They do have young guys I do like. I really like Bub Carrington. I think he's really good. But
it's rough when you're 2-20.
Yeah. Especially when you're playing a team that came into that game 18-3. So yeah.
Sorry, not 2-20. They're 2-18.
I mean, they might as well be 2-20.
Yeah. I mean, they're the worst team in the East. They're literally last. But can't say the Cavs were any better when they had their down years. It's just kind of the NBA ecosystem. You kind of have those poor years, build up your capital, build up your talent pool, free up money, and then you have the ability to kind of do what we're seeing the Thunder do, or what we've seen the Cavs kind of do in the past couple of years, and a little bit of what the Spurs are starting to do around Wemby.
Yeah, the difference between what the Wizards are doing, what the Cavs are doing, is the Cavs had a plan. Yeah, they had down years, but the way that they handled their rebuild, if you look at a big picture, was really good. The guys that they got in the trades, you and I have talked about that multiple times. The guys who they drafted, I mean, even Colin Sexton's not on the team anymore. Serviceable NBA player, right? I mean, teams are going to want him at the trade deadline this year.
Yeah.
Garland, obviously, Mobley. The deal you made to get Mitchell is obviously going to always be something where, and Agbaji's playing pretty well for Toronto, so their scouting department is good. Where Washington, it's like, and like I said, Sidney mentions Bilal Coulibaly. I do like him. I was not a big fan of him in the draft cycle, but I like him a bit more now. And Bob Carrington, and I like Corey Kispert, even though he went to Gonzaga, who's probably my least favorite college basketball program in the country. And that's saying something. But they just don't ever seem to really kind of consistently year by year hit on draft picks, and they get in these kind of situations. And I feel like that's been forever. I mean, even the Bullets days, you kind of felt like you were talking that time, like. And I think that's what always kind of cracks me up about them. But tonight, it just looked like two different sports, man. It looked like two different games being played.
Yeah, it really did. I can't tell if this was better or worse than the Pelicans' third string squad a couple of weeks ago.
I might give the Pelicans a -3.5 on that if I was doing the spread.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to bash on the Wizards too much because
No,
they are an NBA
not.
franchise. They have good pieces, but I do think they're kind of lacking a direction.
Yeah, they've been lacking a direction since they became the Wizards.
Basically,
basically since John Wall and Bradley Beal, they've been trying to figure out what they were going to be. Yeah, even with Bradley Beal. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, they botched that Bradley Beal thing so bad.
That contract, man. I think that's the one other thing the Cavs have done really well. Just a side note before we kind of talk about the rest of the game. Is the worst contract you can fault them for in this era, in this run, is probably the Kevin Love contract, which only looks bad because after he signed back after LeBron left, he just got hurt a lot. But really, he was really worth taking the chance on.
I mean, 150 mil. That's all that contract was.
Yeah.
It's not like they gave him a 220, 230,
Right.
So I think you can live with that.
For sure. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like that's probably the worst contract they signed, and it's not a bad deal.
No. Didn't they bring? I can't remember if they brought JR back or not.
So he was cut about 10 games into the first year post LeBron.
Yeah, because it's thrown soup.
Yeah, and they fired Ty Lue. Let's see what else. Yeah, that was rough. Yeah, you remember there was those reports about Sexton where they're like, he might be the worst basketball player, and they were saying there was players saying it, but it never came out like further than that.
Yeah. How about when they were like, Garland is the worst point guard in the NBA, and then he had an all-star year the next year.
He might have. I mean, it took him a bit to get his legs underneath him in the league. I'm not saying he was bad by any means. But dude, he played 6 games at Vanderbilt, and I don't think he played much of summer league as rookie, if I remember his rookie year.
And then you had John Beilein as your coach, kind of half the time.
Yeah, right. I mean, that was a really hard thing to go through your rookie year, so I don't fault him for any of that. So, all right, let's get to tonight's game. And so the first quarter come out like gangbusters, just dominating. Second and third quarter are pretty close. Fourth quarter put it away. And this game's more of just kind of, I want to talk about different moments that cracked me up more than, and like it made me happy more than just like strategy, because like we said, I don't think the Wizards really had a strategy to get to defend against. They played a lot more inside out tonight, and I like that with the offense. You saw a lot of that, especially when Garland was in the game. Wasn't so much their typical drive and dish, so they did have a lot of that option. But it was a lot more of just kind of getting into the paint, seeing what's available, and just kind of having your chance to execute. Obviously, Evan Mobley again tonight, just terrific. We talked about the 19 and 10 and just owned the paint. Took 2 threes tonight, and the second one that he missed, I thought was a really good shot. I thought, then, sometimes the good ones don't go down, and you live with that. But I thought he was absolutely tremendous, man. What'd you kind of take away from Mobley's performance?
I love him being able to be on the line or out on the arc and let it fly.
Yeah.
I would like to see more of it. I don't know how many opportunities they're going to get because otherwise you have 4 guys around the arc and Jared Allen in the middle.
5-out offense. That's all it is.
Yeah, a very balanced game all around from pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Which that's really good to see because that was kind of the brand of basketball we had during the whole winning streak and everything. And then it kind of seemed like we faltered off to be a little more of our core and star heavy. And granted, it's the Wizards. I get that. But like getting back to a balanced offense feels good.
Yeah, but I mean, you said, it's the Wizards. It's basically how they stayed in the game against Boston Sunday until Mitchell went nuts in the 4th.
Right.
And so you're kind of, like you said, you're kind of starting to see that kind of come back to where it should be. Where if one of those 4 guys does have a bad game, or you lose one early to the game to an unforeseen circumstance, you feel good about where your team's at. And I think that's what I can kind of take away from this game. No win in the NBA is a bad win. And I think that's the most important point here is whenever someone's going to look at this and go, yeah, but it was the Wizards. I mean, look, Donovan Mitchell was great from 3, but didn't have his best shooting game. They still managed to win this game because Mitchell's awesome. Dude, okay. So we talked about this for a second in the first Hawks game last week when the 3 of us were on. And again tonight, I noticed it even more. And again, before anyone says it's the Wizards, those are NBA guys that they're playing against. His just effort on defense is just awesome, man. Like I said, you're not going to confuse him for an all defensive player by any means, but the fact that he's out there just giving it his all to try and make, be physical and make his opposition have difficult shots has been terrific. I thought tonight defensively, he was super good. I thought he was awesome.
Yeah, I agree. In the last game, he had like 3 steals and 2 blocks or a block and 3 steals. Yeah, his defensive effort has been incredible. And that was always the one thing that everybody knocked him for in Utah was that he was just a blow-by defender.
Which is funny because his rookie year, he was awesome.
Right. So I really do think that it's something that is aligned with coaching in the sense of like all of these guys played defense like in college at some point. They've all had to be lockdown defenders. Whether the coaching staff is pushing that is another thing. And, we saw that with JB Bickerstaff. He demanded the best defense out of all of his guys. And now we see Atkinson, demanding the best offense out of his guys without sacrificing how good of defenders that they are. And who was Mitchell's coach in
Quinn Snyder,
Utah? Yeah, Quinn Snyder was all offense. Don't give a bleep about defense.
Not really, though. I think just Mitchell, with Mitchell, it was just kind of like, just go score. We have Rudy. You're going to be fine.
Yeah, I guess that's true. They let Rudy be the defense for all of their guys.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't remember. Like George was on that team for a little bit, and there's a few different guys that they had who were really physical defenders. Where Mitchell's job was a lot easier on that side of the floor. But yeah, here I think he's done a great job there. I mean, Darius too. And I really love Darius's comments about Sunday when they were just making sure they got the switch to where Tatum was on him. And he's like, if you're going to hunt me and you're going to try to take me out of the game, he's like, that's cool. He's like, I'm going to give you everything I got. And I thought tonight, again, going against Malcolm Brogdon, another big point guard who I know also left the game early. I thought was pretty good while he was in the game. Luckily, they didn't need too much of him with whatever's going to happen. Hopefully nothing severe. So that was nice big game for those guys as well. Dude, so really, like you said, like Isaac Okoro, another just physical night. I love the 40% from the 3. You'll take if he's like he's your 3-and-D wing guy that you're gonna have kind of guard your best player. That's gonna be great, and I think you're gonna feel really good on most of those matches. Sam Merrill tonight, like you said, 5 of 10, 4 of 9 from 3, 14 and 6.
He needed that.
Just felt like Sam was back. Yeah, it just felt like Sam was back in rhythm, and when Sam's back in rhythm, he is a microwave, man. And also another guy who just gives everything he possibly can on defense. And so really happy to see Sam kind of get his groove back tonight.
Absolutely. I love using the 2K abilities. He's a microwave because he really is, man. As soon as he gets hot, like he's hard to stop, and he really needed this tonight after kind of slumping the past couple of games, just to come out and be Sam Merrill.
Yeah.
And going back to Isaac Okoro, I love everything he gives this team because he doesn't have the counting stats, and points and rebounds or assists. Like he's pretty low on all those, but he's got a plus 22 in his plus minus. So he's affecting this game in other ways by either being a lockdown defender, by being handsy, by being pesky, by making them making them have to take tough shots.
Yeah, we might. I know Kevin is probably the president of the Isaac Okoro fan club. We might have to send him a jersey or something. I might have to pitch in and get him one. But yeah, just what he brings, just kind of that physicality. I think this team really needs that. Him and Allen just kind of being your defensive dudes is really helpful a lot. Yeah, I really have no complaints about tonight besides the Garland injury. Hopefully it's nothing serious, and hopefully he's back Thursday for Denver. Let's get to that real quick. So they got the Nuggets on Thursday, who obviously have the best player in the world. I'll tell you what, though, and I know this sounds really hot takey of someone like me who absolutely loves basketball. I'm not a big Jokic fan. Like, I'm not denying how incredible he is. I do think he is the best player in the world. I'm not, but I just don't get pumped watching him play. It's not a guy where I'm like during the Olympics, and he was like giving US fits. I was like, whatever. And then I know he's knocked the Lakers out 2 years in a row, really ending LeBron's chances on another championship, and elevates that team so much because they're 10-8, and he's probably the MVP right now, realistically. But he completely outplayed Davis in their Laker game the other day, but just doesn't excite me as a player. And I know that's really wrong of me as someone who loves basketball. And again, I'm not denying how awesome he is. I just don't like the Nuggets are never a team when I'm flipping through League Pass and I'm like, I'm gonna watch 10 minutes of the Nuggets.
Is it because how apathetic he is towards basketball?
It could be, that could play a part. But I don't know. I just don't like their brand of basketball, man. Again, not denying how awesome they are by any stretch of the matter. I just get bored with them.
There's this guy, I'd have to look up the handle, but he's on Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff. And he's like, he impersonates Jokic, and he's like, welcome to a day in the life where basketball is job. And he just goes through of like, I have to go to practice. This sucks. This is job. I'd rather be with horses. Like it's pretty funny.
Yeah, they're kind of a weird team too. So
they are a weird team.
They're 10th in the league in pace. They're 6th in total offensive rating. They're 20th in defensive rating. And they're 12th in net, which is like a really weird. I don't know how that lines up.
Yeah.
Shockingly, Russell Westbrook has been really good for them off the bench. I don't think that's going to last very long, to be honest with you. Not that I dislike Russ. Like, there's a lot of people that really dislike Russ. I'm not one of those people. But shooting numbers leave a lot to be desired. But what they're getting from him is probably exactly what they expected. And Murray, Porter, those are the guys that you can rely on all the time. But I really think that when you look at this game, so you're probably thinking big picture, if you have Garland, for sure, Garland versus Murray, Mitchell versus Christian Brown, because and then you've got Okoro and Porter. You've got Mobley probably guarding Jokic most of the game.
Probably.
I think they match up pretty well, realistically. I do.
Yeah, I think that it'll be a good matchup. I always love seeing how the Cavs respond to teams that play with a high pace like them, like the Bulls and the Hawks. Those are the two teams that of recent memory that play with as much pace as the Cavs. So I'll be interested to see how they keep up with Denver in that sense. They're the matchup predictor on ESPN has the Cavs at 68.2% of a victory. And I also did not know that Jokic is averaging a triple-double right now.
Yeah, and efficiently doing a triple-double.
Yeah,
So that's the thing
pretty
that's
crazy.
Pretty fascinating. Yeah, I mean, he like I said, I'm not denying his talent. I just am not a fan. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not love their team. I feel like this is kind of as good as it gets for them at this point. Really curious if they're playing the Warriors tonight in their final cup game. I think they might be eliminated. Yeah, they are. So I just can't figure out what they're going to go from there. But this is also important to note. This is the second city game of the year.
Yeah.
So blue jerseys, the cool floor. It's going to break out.
I don't know why they're only doing it for like 6 games this season.
Yeah, last year it was like every cup game, every team wore theirs, unless
Yeah.
it was something where the colors were the same. So I don't know why they didn't do that this year. But yeah, it's kind of weird how little they're doing it. And I don't think they're doing it on the road at all this year, if I saw that correctly. That's a bummer.
I mean, it makes sense. If there's city jerseys, that should be
I know, but
home games only.
you'd think, but people, Nike's just wanting to sell jerseys, so they're like, yeah, whatever, just do whatever you want. But yeah, so I think this will be a fun game. It's gonna be a good matchup. I'm really excited to see how Mobley guards Jokic, and then Mitchell and Murray again. Can they recreate what they did in the bubble against each other? So fun.
That was incredible.
Yeah. I could do a whole podcast on the bubble and the people who tried to degrade it about why it was honestly the most fun basketball, especially for the period of time what was going on and we needed a release.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the lack of fans made it weird to watch, but I think the basketball we got was a much higher caliber.
Yeah, I think ESPN has agreed to they're going to do a doc on the bubble. I cannot wait for the day that comes out.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, we'll be Thursday will be fun. I'm really excited about that game for sure. We mentioned already. So the Charge played today, and 2 of our guys played today for the Charge and played later for the Cavs. So that was kind of fun to watch. They get a 107-103 win over the Skyforce, who are the Miami Heat's G League affiliate, who have a lot of good players in their team.
Mm-hmm.
Nasir Little, Tony Snell, Josh Christopher, Malik Williams, Kello Ware was with the team but didn't play. So that was kind of cool. I saw that. But yeah, so nice win there. I get to pull that record up. The way that the G League does their record is so weird because they do the record up to the G League showcase and then it resets after the showcase.
So
it's
almost like
they're 4-5 now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. There's another, like, I don't remember if it's a minor league that does that
Double A.
too.
Double A.
Double
The
A
All-Star
does
game.
that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Because so if you win the first half of the season, you clear a spot in the playoffs, and you could just lose every game in the second after the All-Star break, and you're still in the playoffs. It's kind of weird, but yeah. So JT Thor. So today was a really nice game for them. JT Thor had a nice game. Jules Bernard had a nice game. Craig Porter Jr., Elijah Hughes. So 4-5 for them now, getting closer and closer to the G League Showcase, which is basically the bubble. For the G League, but I really like it. It's a lot of fun to watch, especially because its games are on all day. So it could be 11 o'clock in the morning and you turn a basketball game on. So
is it on anything other than League Pass?
ESPNU, I think, normally gets it, and ESPN Plus will for sure carry it.
Yeah.
I just don't know. So let's see the nights they play. But if you watch that G League documentary on Amazon, it does a lot about the showcase and what it means. It's really cool because there's no fans. The only people that are allowed to be there are league executives,
right?
So GMs, front office personnel, and things like that. So definitely really fun to check out. So I think we're not too far from that. Actually, I think is it next week?
Well, it's a good thing for those guys because as we saw
the week after,
so Sixers signed Pete Nance off of the
Yeah.
Cavs G League.
Yeah. Good for Pete. I guess that just means that the roster spots could be open when Larry wants to come back to town here in a couple months.
Come on. Give me it.
Yes. Bring Larry home.
Getting into other rumors, trade rumors, because we're starting to get to that point of the season. There's a couple rumors floating out there that the Cavs are interested in Kyle Kuzma. What are your thoughts and feelings on that? Bring Larry home.
Do they need him?
I asked the same question.
I don't dislike Kuzma at all, realistically. But I think that there's teams that can offer. I don't know if there's teams that can give a better offer than what there probably is. Big picture. But I think he's needed with other teams more than he is with the Cavs. Like, because at this point you're thinking the Wizards are going to want. The Cavs don't have any first round picks for a couple of years, so that takes that out. That takes that portion out because Utah's got the picks. They do have 2 second rounders this year, which I don't know what those are going to look like at the point right now. It's the 40th and the 59th. And also at that point it goes, okay, so Okoro, George, are those guys worth giving up for Kuzma? And I don't feel like they are because Kuzma is not a very good defender. Again, I love Kuzma. I think Kuzma's a very good scorer. I think he's a goofball for sure. But I think he needs to go to another situation. I don't think Cleveland's going to be the right place for him, just because I don't think the Cavs realistically need him. Is he going to make them better in the playoffs? Maybe in the scoring situation, yes. But who is he going to guard when they play Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals? Who's he going to guard if they get the Hawks in the first round? I don't feel like that really helps him a lot.
I mean, would he be an upgrade from Max Strus?
Well, right now, yes, because Max Strus is not playing basketball.
Yeah.
But he's definitely a better player than Strus. Scoring wise, yes, but I still think I give Strus the defensive edge. I'd have to see the numbers. I don't know. Again, I'm not trying to say that he's not a good player or he doesn't deserve the attention he's getting right now, because he certainly is. I just don't feel like he's like a great fit for the Cavs.
I agree. I don't think he's a great culture fit. And I think when you have a team that's bet on continuity as hard as the Cavs have, that's got to be one of the biggest things that they look at. And especially, I had to look it up. Kyle Kuzma has 3 more years of control. So if you make a move like that, they have to be the culture fit. So I don't think so. And plus, even with, I don't know if the Cavs are going to be looking for kind of anything long term or anything past this year, because all the money that's about to start with all the extensions that they put in, because they're just barely into the first apron right now as far as the luxury tax. So come next season, they're going to be well within that apron.
Yeah, and I think they're right under the second next year, if I remember the numbers, if the numbers are correct.
Right.
So, yeah, man, I think that it's a great conversation to have. I just feel like I'm that third big, like we've talked about, is kind of, I feel like, the last piece of the roster. And, we're obviously laughing about Larry, but we definitely want Larry back. And
absolutely want Larry back.
Feels like it's a name that's come around quite a bit for the Cavs. I don't think Valanciunas is necessarily fit for the Cavaliers, just because what Allen and Mobley do so well compared to every other center in the league is they run the floor really well, and that's not Valanciunas' game.
But it's Larry Nance's game.
That is Larry Nance's game, yes.
And the Hawks don't play him.
Right, yeah. And, Okung, like, I would love if the Cavs got Onyeka Okongwu instead, but I don't see that happening. Also a nice floor runner. But Larry feels like the one that makes the most sense, and not just the fact that he's from Cleveland and he's a namesake and he's already played for the Cavs. He's been to the finals with the Cavs. But just that, I think that his style of play will fit really well here. Just a big who can run the floor. You can play up the 4. You can guard 3 through 5. He's really physical defensively. He can catch oops. He can run the rim. I think that he would be just a really, really, really great fit with this current Cavs team. Plus, the guys like him. The guys that were here when he was here, which is what now? Just Garland? I think so.
Was he here when Garland was here?
Yeah, the trade was he was traded in the Lauri Markkanen trade.
That's right. Yeah, so he would have had 1 year with Garland, at least 1 year with Garland. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think he's a culture fit. He just seems like a guy that would fit exactly what this Cavs culture is.
Mm-hmm.
On top of has the same strengths as what this Cavs team is big, that are athletic and can get up the floor. Now he doesn't add, maybe spacing by any means, but I mean, you have sharpshooters in Merrill, and Niang can get him up there, and Ty Jerome can hit him down, and Dean Wade can hit him down. So you have shooters on that bench unit, so that it makes sense to have a guy in the middle.
Set him in the dunker spot on your offense, and just be like, hey, dude, just be ready to catch something, especially with the way Darius is distributing nowadays. Just have your hands ready to potentially put a quick lay in. So,
and he was so good at that when he was here in Cleveland, like the oops.
Yeah, playing with LeBron, that helped a lot.
Well, yeah, but
yeah.
And George Hill was a good ball distributor.
He is. I always like George's game. I feel like George is pretty underrated. I know he just kind of always go down and lure for Cleveland for the wrong reason, but that's neither here nor there. But I think with that being said, we can go ahead and wrap up this episode of the Block the Shot Stop. Thank you guys as always for tuning in. We definitely appreciate it. A really, really fun night. So shout out to Devin and Sydney for hanging out in the chat with us every game. We definitely appreciate you all. And also, we'll be back Thursday. So big game against the Nuggets. It's a city game. We're really excited about that. If you're just checking us out for the first time, welcome. Be sure to give us a subscription, whether it's on YouTube or your podcast app of choice. We will be here after every Cavs game. We aren't going anywhere. We're talking about the 19-3 Cleveland Cavaliers. It sounds really nice, doesn't it?
Sounds better than 18-4.
Sure does. On behalf of Skylar Webker, on behalf of Kevin Lynch, this is Tim Daniel. Have a great night, and we will see you on Thursday.
Go Cavs.